So, the significance of paper in No Other Choice. Before that, though, I will give a short analysis and review. My review, fucking excellent. Park Chan-wook does it again. Clearly a fucking master at directing. His transitions, amazing. Every single frame of No Other Choice is iconic. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the movie was storyboarded, just like how older movies in Hollywood used to be. And that's why it's so well planned out. And I guess in a whole sludge of movies where things feel just sloppy, fastly produced, like it's, the McDonald's drive-through of content, No Other Choice feels starkly refreshing. You're seeing an actual master at work here. It is the darkest, funniest, most patently anti-capitalist film of the year. I'm not even unemployed yet, but this movie got to me. It really is that horrific to be, struggling to find jobs, especially when you live in such a cutthroat, hyper-capitalist society as Korea, or where I stay, Singapore. I wouldn't describe the film as being chaotic. It's this tightly controlled, wound-up piece of artistry. Now, on to the actual analysis. The significance of paper is not lost on me. Now, they could have easily chosen any other industry for the main character to work in. Like, I don't know, engineering, something with electricity, something more modern or relatable, right, to the average person. But instead, they chose something that's like a little bit archaic. He comes from the paper processing industry. They chose something that has to be taken from nature, stripped of impurity to be bleached chemically white, so that other people or industries can imprint their mark on it. And Mansu, the main character, despite having to give up his family's dogs, his wife's tennis, his son's Netflix account, having good meat like beef or stingray for, watery poverty bowls of soup and rice, giving up their beautiful furniture, blah, 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 Mansu still decides to tend to his garden in the greenhouse. He takes care of the bonsai tree, and the bonsai tree is featured very heavily in the posters and the marketing for this movie. And it's for good reason. It's not just the fact that despite everything that they've lost due to liquidation or like trying to make ends meet, that Mansu still decides to keep the bonsai tree. The bonsai tree, culturally, is a symbol of elegance, of timelessness, patience, and wisdom. It's not easy to grow one, and it's not easy to shape one either, without having a lot of patience. And yet, as the movie goes on, he tightly wounds it up, making it bend to his will. When he's asked, "What is your weak point?" Mansu is not able to answer the interviewer. Yes, he answers a bit like clumsily, "Oh, my one weakness is I can't admit my weakness." That whole cliche answer that you give to an interviewer. But it is an actual flaw. Mansu cannot stand failure because he has a wife, 2 children, 2 dogs, and a whole ass, a huge house to raise, right? Not easy to get in Korea, not easy to get in the city. But even more than that, he can't stand failure because he has to keep his ego. Sorry, the analysis is going to be stream of consciousness because I'm just reading out my notes from when I watched the movie. In the end, after cutting down his competition and this life that he built from scratch, see a man become a villain. Men like Mansu are unfortunately not rare, We're clutched by sympathy for him. After all, who amongst us, if you're not a Nepo baby, hasn't struggled with feeling like a failure and being a burden to your loved ones because you had a phase of unemployment? But when men like Mansu succeed, it points to the failure of the system, the way it amplifies excess, cutthroat competitiveness, and cruelty. The phrase no other choice only goes so far when you're literally staring down the bullet of a gun and still choose to shoot your fellow man. Now, I don't necessarily want to paint the main character as just an individual instigator of harm. Instead, he's a cog in the machine who managed to succeed under its dark, engulfing forces. It is these systemic forces which force normal working men to murderous circumstances. And if not literally by murder, then by the grueling, mentally torturous competition of your fellow men and exploitation. Another thing I want to point out is that Mansu uses his grandfather's North Korean pistol, which I feel like is incredibly significant. I haven't watched any analysis of No Other Choice. I don't know why it seems that apart from Old Boy and The Handmaiden, Park Chan-wook's recent films go under the radar. But anyway, I purposely chose not to watch any analysis just because like I want to keep my own impressions intact and then claim that I came up with this on my own. I meant to release this on the day afterwards, by the way. The day after watching. So anyway, why choose to make his grandfather's pistol, why choose to make his grandfather North Korean? I don't know. Is that what happened? So the pistol was inherited by his grandfather, who's this veteran haunted by this trauma of having to kill 20,000 pigs after a disease renders their flesh inedible. So Mansu's family originally came from North Korea. Either that or his family had to survive the Cold War, which at the time was wrestling with fears of the Red Scare. While less traumatic than pig slaughter, Mansu deals in an industry that also bludgeons nature and makes use of it to create unrecognizable, bleached, chemically processed versions of itself. He may have a greenhouse that is his pride and joy, but eventually, when his mind cultivates a single-minded purpose to kill his fellow men, this greenhouse turns into a slaughterhouse. An apple tree is planted over the dead body of a colleague he actually worked with and remembers. His hobby, working with green, caring for nature, is thought of as endearing by his wife, but now turns into another asset for murder to be covered up with. The house that they sleep and watch movies and make love and music in has become a dark burial ground. Their house has already been technically built with blood money, considering the amount of pigs that had to be buried. Slaughtering is definitely not a job you want to get into if you want to remain mentally well. And in this way, Mansu continues the legacy. My analysis is going all over the place. So I'm just thinking in the beginning, there's an attempt to forge a union, right? At Mansu's old workplace. But the rug is pulled under him when he can no longer work there because he's let go by his shitty fucking company. And just like how these paper industry giants merge together, forming one conglomerate, basically monopolizing everything about paper making, Mansu merges what used to bring him joy and turns it into something horrific. An apple tree planted over a dead body. The single-minded goal to succeed above all else, even at the cost of lives, is all-consuming. Now, coming back to the ending, No Other Choice is a movie that keeps going on and on relentlessly. What else could they add to the final shot, That was my thought. So we see Mansu standing at the titan of technological prowess. No human left on his floor, just a weirdly fucking huge, round bumblebee looking ass robot that does all the work for him, right? It's all powered by artificial intelligence. Is he happy? I mean, that laugh that he let out doesn't exactly seem sane, you know? Monsu is just relieved that he finally got what he wanted. All he has to do is press a bunch of buttons and everything is done for him. But don't mistake it. That last shot was cold and depressing. There's literally no other humans left on that floor. This is the end game of what cold-blooded murder gets you. And I think it's laughable for Mansu to assume that he won't be replaced one day either. There was already talk by his interviewers at the new company that they're working with AI and, newer technology. If it's cheaper and easier and less effort to care about a human's well-being, Monsu could also be replaced by another AI that can automate pushing the button to turn wood to pulp to toilet paper that we wipe our asses with. Well, whatever that paper can be turned into. The last thing I want to mention is the one thing that his family never gives up on is the daughter's cello lessons. And I was musing on why this was, right? What is the significance of that? Why is it so significant that she starts playing the cello in front of them? And I did think that there was a shot of his iPad with the buttons when he's controlling all the shifts and sticks, right? That it kind of looks like the notes that the daughter draws for her music. I don't know, it seems very similar looking, except I think the significance of why it matters that the daughter keeps playing cello is that she plays for herself, right? Her passion is in service of itself. She doesn't do it for a job. She doesn't do it for money. She doesn't even do it for the benefit of pleasing her parents or, trying to seem more well-liked. She doesn't seem to have friends. I don't know. There's only so much that a movie can get into the inner lives of every single character, right? But I think it's funny that the teacher... It seems like the teacher's bullshitting when she goes, "Oh, I have nothing more to teach your daughter. She seems a master at cello." It's like, okay, just tell us that you don't want to work with her or that she's not improving. But no, it's true. The daughter actually seems like a master at cello, right? And she's this only pure thing in that house. The wife covers up for murder. The teenage son robs places and smokes. It's only the daughter who remains pure and allowed to keep her one joy because she truly cares for her craft. And I think when it comes to why they look so visually similar in terms of Monsu's iPad when he's controlling the dials and her music notes, it's because they stand in contrast to each other. Monsu is willing to stop at nothing to get to a respectable position as Paper Man of the Year, whatever award that he got. But their daughter is just playing for the sake of playing. That the movie's title is very apt, No other choice, and thinking that way only gets you so far. If you perpetuate a system built by men who repeat no other choice, you too will find yourself on the cutting room floor. Unless you find joy in the craft of choosing to make art not for the benefit of others listening, not for praise, not for profit, but because you want to get better. Unless you find joy in that, you will have your life continually hampered by the idea of choosing what's next and next and next. I don't think the movie could just be simplified to one message like that, but I think that's one of the messages. And it's interesting because the daughter's just one of the very minor characters in the movie. There's just so much packed into it. There's so many layers, from the choice of making paper as Monsu's industry, to why he tends to his greenhouse, why the bonsai tree matters as a symbol for the movie, to the grandfather's North Korean pistol. It's just an incredibly well thought movie, and I honestly would say that it's the movie of the year for me. I can't say that I've watched everything, I've only watched maybe 30 movies this year, but I think this is a fucking clear winner for me. And that's saying something because I watched One Battle After Another, which I thought was good. I thought it was very, very enjoyable, but as for what I could ascertain or relate to that, I don't know. It's Park Chan-wook, man. He got me in the fucking gut and my heart.